Did you know that ancestral land, family graves, and family keepsakes have a big role to play when it comes to the choice of place where our elderly parents will age? If you didn't know about that, then come along with me, because in today's session, I'm going to talk about two very important reasons which are making our elderly parents choose to age in their rural homes. We'll also look at some of the family keepsakes, generational artifacts which are kept in these rural homes, and as a result of that, they are attracting our elderly parents to choose to age there and not in towns, cities, or even abroad. So come along with me so that we can venture in and get to understand what is it about this heritage, this cultural heritage, family keepsakes, family mementos, most of which are no longer in use, but they are part of the big reason that is making our parents say they are going to age in rural areas and no other place. So welcome, and thank you for stopping by. If you're new here, I'm Eileen. I usually come here to talk about remote caregiving. I draw most of the information that I share here from experience, because I've been a caregiver to my elderly parents in person and also remotely doing it from 13,000 kilometers away. If you're an immigrant, if you're in your midlife and you keep on wondering what you're going to sacrifice, if you're going to travel home to be able to take care of your elderly parents, or if you're going to stay in the city where you are or abroad so that you can continue to pursue your career, I'm here to tell you that you can achieve both. Provide care to your elderly parent from a distance while you continue to pursue your careers. So with that, let's get on with today's session. The homes or the houses that our elderly parents call home, they've grown in this area. Some of them have lived within their compound for maybe more than 40, 50, 60, or even 70 years, which means that they know these houses, these compounds, just like the back of their hands. And within these houses or compounds, there are gadgets that are attached to their memories, to their stories as individuals. There are gadgets there that tell stories about their life. You know, maybe when they got married, such and such an item, maybe they were given as a present on marriage, given as a present either by their parents or their in-laws. So they will continue to relate this particular item with the time when they got married. For example, I know of communities within Kenya where whenever a daughter got married, they were given livestock, because these are livestock people, and they have a custom or a practice whereby whenever a child is born within the home, then the child is given a calf. That's a young female cow. Whether the child is a boy or a girl, they are given a calf. And this calf belongs to them. It grows and gets its own calves, but within the homestead, everybody knows that these cows belong to this child, belong to this daughter, or belong to this son. And what happens within this community is that when the sons get married, they are given their stock. So they are given the mother cow and all the calves of this cow. The same happens with the daughter. When she gets married, she's given her livestock to take along to her new home. And there are also some communities with a cultural practice whereby when the new wife arrives, she's given presents. Some of them even the mother-in-law can give her a cow. They are given different presents within the community. So these are some of the things that some of our elderly parents still hold within the compound. You might find that such a person, because they also don't sell the livestock, the presents that they are given, they could be having some of them to date. Of course, the great-great-grandchildren of the cows that they came with. So if we are asking them to leave the home, are they going to come along with their cows? there are many other traditional gadgets, or even if they are not traditional, but items within the home that help them have an identity, feel like they belong to that home. For example, our elderly parents used to keep like a clay pot within the house. Maybe it's for drinking water or for storing seeds and other foodstuffs. And they used to have, they still have a grinding stone, even though now they take their food products to modern portion mills, but they still retain that grinding stone. And traditionally, this grinding stone is passed down the family line. So they pass it on to a grandchild. And also for our fathers, our grandfathers, they also have traditional items that they pass over, that they keep, and they pass over to grandchildren. So it's like being in the village, you are holding on to so many family traditions, tangible and non-tangible items that you hold on and you pass on. Some of them while you are still alive and some of them when you die. So these are some of the questions that our elderly parents could be asking themselves. Like, if I move out of this home, what happens to these gadgets? For the grandfathers, for the fathers, I know they have a stool for the fathers. You can see there, that's the one for our father. And you've seen the grinding stone for our mother. So these are gadgets, tools that even though they are not making use of them, but they have a cultural value. It's things that make them feel like they belong, and things that they pass on to the next generation to also continue feeling like they belong. So what's going to happen to these traditional items? And also beyond that, I'm sure the parents, our elderly parents, are asking themselves the biggest question. It's about the question of the compound, because our traditional homes are not just places where we eat and sleep, but these are places where celebrations are held. These places, our rural homes, the places where our parents, our grandparents call home, they also play another role that brings our families together, because these are places where we celebrate births. These are places where we celebrate weddings. These are places where we celebrate funerals, where people are buried. So these are the places that we and mostly our parents, elderly parents, identify with. In most homes, there are traditional practices whereby even if as children, as young adults, you live in towns, you've established your homes there in the form of you bought a house and you live there. That's where your children call home. But there are these practices where you'll still need to take your children home to see the place where you call home. And when you take them there, especially when they are visiting for the first time, there is a way that these children will be welcomed back into their home, or into the home of their parent or the home of their grandparents. So when such children are being brought home, even if you live abroad, if they are coming home for the first time, there will be a celebration which will be held, and more people from the village and other relatives will attend. Whenever there is a wedding, even if you live outside the country and you marry there, but if you return home, or for those who return home to celebrate their marriage there. So these are places, they go to rural homes. These are places where we also celebrate marriages, weddings, and at the end of life, most people in Africa, even though it started to change, but the majority of them still prefer to be married at the place where they call home, the place where their ancestors, their grandparents, their parents were buried. And later on, we'll be talking about this in detail, but a person back home, it's not just taken there and buried. There are guidelines, there are traditions on who gets buried where, so that for those who know whenever you enter a home and you see graves, if you come from that culture, you'll be able to know immediately that maybe the grandfather of this home or the father in this home is late, died, because when you see a grave at that particular spot within the home, you know who it belongs to. So if we are asking our elderly parents to move out of these spaces that they call home, then there's the question of, they actually could ask that, like, whom am I going to leave the graves for? Because for them, that's part of how they identify as belonging within that home. So what about you? What is it that makes a place home for you, and especially for your parents? Are there gadgets within that compound that helps define that place as home? Because for me, the cultural or the traditional background where I originate from, graves are very, very important identifier of a home. If your people are buried there, when your people die, if they are brought back there, because normally from towns, urban areas, or even abroad, people will talk of, oh, so-and-so has died, we need to take them home, which means that that place becomes very, very important in terms of even emotions, because this is where generations are resting. So that's another way that our parents, elderly parents, are getting to identify these places as a home. And as we can see, that's why these places matter, because they are holders of traditions, cultural practices, memory. They are the places that they've known like throughout the rest of their lives. So how do we expect them to move out of this place and go to start a new life? And yet, as we said, they are over 60, 70, others are over 90, others are over 100. If they have this very strong attachment and sense of place to these places, and for us as their children, their grandchildren, if we are trying to make them lead a comfortable and healthy life, and I guess what we are seeing from the above discussion is that these places hold a lot of memory. What we can do is to make the rural homes comfortable enough so that our parents can live there. So what are your thoughts this far? Do you think our elderly parents, our grandparents have a basis when they say that they would like to age in place? That's age within their home which is within a rural village. Do you think they have a basis for that? Please comment below and subscribe so that you can come along as we continue with this discussion. So with that, while you subscribe and you join in the discussion below by asking your questions or contributing to some of the questions that the other listeners are asking, I'm going to work on the next episode where we are going to continue now with the topic of how do we make these rural homes comfortable places? Because I guess by now you're in agreement with me that these homes, the rural homes, matter to our elderly parents, and it will be good for them to age in place, to age by continuing to live in these places so that they can have a healthy life, a meaningful life. So come back, subscribe, and come back so that you can follow along in our journey. That's my journey with my siblings in making our rural home a comfortable place for our elderly parents. So for now, it's a goodbye from me, and see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.